Hi there. I wanted to talk today about your why when it comes to sobriety, whether you're sober curious or you've been on the recovery journey for a while and it doesn't seem to stick, or maybe you're in just the initial days of it looking for any sort of strength or help from a fellow soldier on the path of what has helped. And I just want to say your why, my why of how I got sober is so crucial to staying on the recovery path. It's incredibly hard because in order to become sober, you have to become a different version of yourself. There's a notion that we have a really hard time becoming sober inside the same personality that got us addicted. And that was definitely true for me. And as I was going through it, it took me 18 months of solid trying to get to the point where I'm sober. And today I'm 2 years and 3 months sober, almost 2 years, 4 months sober, which is such an enormous deal for me. When I first tried to start getting sober, it was, I would say, somewhere around in the mid 2021 time period. But then that's when I read Quit Like a Woman, and I was like, oh man, I feel like it's coming. And then March of 2022, I had a moment that scared me, and I decided I would start trying. And from March of 2022 until October of 2023 is how long it took me to finally get on the path. And I say that because when I'm in recovery rooms or I'm a recovery coach now and I'm working with other people, it is so obvious that most of us don't just say, I'm going to quit drinking, and then we quit. It takes an incredible amount of looking inward, trying different things, failing, picking yourself back up, and trying again. And for me, that is so true. That is definitely part of my story. But there was a few things that helped me unlock. And I want to start out with saying the quote from the Gospel of Thomas that says, if you bring forth what is within you, it will save you. But if you don't bring forth what is within you, it will destroy you. There was something about that quote that just really hit me when I read it during those 18 months of trying to get sober. And what I felt like was true for me was that I have just always had something big inside of me that wants to come out. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if I've fully gotten there yet. I'm further along the way than I was before. But I was watching my life get smaller and dimmer and just more empty and unfulfilling. And I knew that I had more to give. And I don't really know what it was. I think that, the reason why, and I didn't go through AA, but the reason why AA has such a high spiritual quality to it, that they, really want their people to look at a higher power, is that it is so hard to quit drinking, to quit substances, to whatever has you addicted. It is so hard to pull yourself out of it. There has to be something else that just helps you to take over. And when I read that quote, there was something that just felt like, I'm throwing my life away. What if I'm throwing my life away and there's more that could come out of me? Because I know I guess I was 45 years old at that point, that my life was getting smaller, not bigger. But the small, or the quiet part of me, I don't even want to call it small, the powerful but yet quiet part of me was tapping inside of me saying that there was something more. And then along this journey of sobriety that I was struggling and failing at, I knew enough to know that there was more going on than I could figure out on my own. And even though I had been in therapy offices in and out throughout my whole life, I wasn't getting anywhere. And I was listening to a podcast with Goldie Hawn's son, Oliver, who talked about the Hoffman process and how he went to that and it changed his life. And so much of what he said resonated with me. I was on a walk. I remember exactly where I was when I was listening to it. I stopped. I looked it up. It was so much cheaper than rehab. And it seemed like maybe this would help me. And when I went in early or February of 2023. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I call it therapy boot camp. It was so incredibly challenging to me on so many levels. But I came out of that knowing what was keeping me stuck. And a massive part of what was keeping me stuck was that I was just very stuck in people pleasing, in caring about what other people think, in comparison, in this is not for people like me, of unworthiness, of I'm unlovable, of I'm not good enough. And some of these are themes that all of us have. Like as I go through this work and I am understanding myself and human nature more, we all have this stuff. We all have it. But we have to get really intimate with ourselves to start understanding, oh, okay, this is why I do what I do. And just that awareness of understanding why you do what you do is really helpful to be like, okay, here I am doing it and catching yourself and doing it differently. But you have to have that like umbrella of the why encompassing that journey. Because your why is your purpose of why you're willing to go through the pain of what you're going through to change. Because the process of undoing an addiction is basically unraveling an identity, a personality, and becoming somebody new. And that's incredibly hard to do on your own, but it's even harder to do when you've got people around you that are giving you feedback about how those changes are affecting them. And that is where we really get stuck, because you can get all the way to trying. You can get past the failures and keep picking yourself up and trying. You can even get good with, okay, I know why I keep on doing this. Even though I can't stop doing it, I can kind of see why I'm doing it. But if you get so far as all of that and you can't handle how other people are reacting as you change, then you're going to fall back into that old personality to belong. And that's one of those truths that is ancestral, is ancient. It's how we survived. And that is, we will always choose belonging over authenticity because it's survival. And knowing that is so helpful, because it's not, oh, I care what everybody thinks. It's more than that. It's deeper than that. We need other people to be okay. We need other people for safety. We're tribal, communal people. We don't do any of this alone. But sometimes some of those people, some of those environments, some of those situations that you have yourself in have to go. And that is grief work. That takes tremendous courage. And it feels, for me anyway, I felt untethered for a long time of like, I'm jumping and I don't know if there's something to land on underneath all of this. And that's where my why was so important. My why was, I have to stop betraying myself. I love myself enough to be myself. And in order to be myself, I had to know myself. And all of that was driving me to stay committed to myself, because the more I could be myself and I could be authentic, I had space to allow some of that other stuff to fall away. That why is so important. The what of, or the when of how it happens and the what of how it's all going to look, that is going to unfold outside of your control. The one thing in your control is your North Star, and that is your why. Another thing I've noticed in my coaching and in recovery rooms is that oftentimes your why can't be other people. So if you're wanting to quit drinking for your kids, or because your spouse is unhappy with it, or because you're going to lose your job, those can get you pretty far. But I've found that ultimately people land on a why that is intensely personal and all about them. Because it's a solo journey. It's a journey that is one of the hardest things that you might undertake. Laura McCowan, who wrote a beautiful book called We Are the Luckiest and was a massive resource for me as I was getting sober, she talks about we all have a thing. And everybody's thing is different, but we all have it. And when she was talking about her thing being alcohol, I knew that that was mine too. I knew that was my thing that was completely out of control, and I was going to have to turn myself inside out in order to get there. But hearing her say that that was her thing and she got through it, that was part of my why too, was that I'm not going to betray myself. And this thing is not going to control me. This thing, I'm going to find a way to push through. And I am so happy to say that today, that is not my thing anymore. And that informs me on how I show up courageously for other things. You know, this has legs. If you're sober curious, if you are having scary moments where you're like, oh, I think I might need to stop drinking, but I don't even know where to start. If you're exhausted and your life feels unfulfilling and you're not sure how you got here, but you can't see it outside of your thing that you are attached to. And that's the complicated thing, is that our thing gives us something, or else it wouldn't be our thing. You know, it's not all bad. I oftentimes relate the relationship with alcohol or substances or devices that aren't our friends to a toxic ex that we can't seem to quit. Like, yes, there's probably some good things about that toxic ex that you're getting, or else you wouldn't keep on going back to them, but they are definitely toxic and no good. And if you could kick them out of your life, you would be better for it. That's what alcohol is. That's what alcohol was for me. That's what our thing is that thing that gives us a little something, but ultimately takes way more than it gives. If you're on this journey, if you are looking for inspiration or anything that can help you stay on it, I just want to say, I see you. This is the most important thing you will ever do. Stay committed. Know your why. Have the courage to show up for you, to be you, to be unapologetically you, and to take control of your life and get beyond your thing. Because once you do that, you will see magic on the other side of that, that informs what you can have for your life. That's more than just this thing that comes with a lot of debt and a lot of baggage. Thanks for being here with me and being a part of my community. We're in this together. If anything inspired you, please put something in the comments and like and subscribe. I appreciate you being here, and I know that whatever you have in front of you, you can do it.